Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of GGS2 Case 3. We have Enoch Drebber on the stand, and he just made his testimony, so now we're going to be cross-examining him. I love his animations, though. We're gonna examine the cage in question first. Is this the bottom of it? Looks like that's the bottom of it. Let's look at the bottom of this cage. Hold on. Huh? Look at this. The wood is bent out of shape and a little broken. I suppose it must have fallen from quite a height? Yeah, it fell from the height of the flying hot air balloons and plunged into the crystal tower. So it must have fallen about 30 feet, or around 9 meters. And the victim inside ended up losing his life. Device cage, the wooden cage used in the experiment. It plunged into the crystal tower with the victim inside. The bottom is damaged from the impact. He said it would plunge head first, didn't he? That doesn't seem to be the case here. I also investigated the fallen cage, just now. It's made of wood. As you can see, part of it is broken. The cage fell from a height of 30 feet during the explosion. The amount of damage is only natural. Yes, there's no problem with the fact that it's damaged. The problem is the location that got damaged.
Hmm?
The fact is that it was the bottom of the cage that was damaged.
What?
That's the opposite. Exactly. The bottom of the cage found at the crime scene was damaged. A cage that plunged headfirst into the tower, and a cage with a damaged bottom. In other words, what this clearly proves is that day on the stage, these two cages were swapped at some point. Which means that what happened that day was not a science experiment, but a big illusion. What is the meaning of this? Witness!
Well...
If we look purely at the facts, there is but one conclusion we can draw. Considering that it's the bottom of the cage that was damaged, then it must have fallen feet first. But it was clearly seen falling head first. The cage appeared when the space where the hot air balloon was flying exploded. It was quite a distance above the ground, some 60 feet or so. That's about 18 meters. It then proceeded to fall about 30 feet through the cloud of smoke into the crystal tower. Considering the conditions, precise testimony on that point is impossible. But the fact remains that it was the victim's neck that was broken. He'd just fallen 30 feet locked inside a heavy cage. Regardless of how he'd fallen, it was inevitable that he'd break a bone or two in his neck.
Allow me to express my respect for the prosecutor's scientific consideration. Though, to put it more scientifically, the neck has only one bone.
He just recovered. Got his theme. Prosecutor Van Ziek-sama, what are you trying to pull? This man tricked your friend and is a second-rate swindler. You're going to make a case. Make it an airtight one. Huh? I feel like that's what Prosecutor Van Zieks is trying to say here.
Yes, indeed. Besides, you seem to have forgotten one thing, Mr. Defense Attorney. There's one other fact that clearly indicates that this was not just an illusion.
What?
It appears that it's too soon to end this cross-examination. Witness, add that fact to your testimony.
I will. These sorts of things must be done scientifically, after all.
Damn it. I nearly had him, and then he slipped away. This man.
There's no other place besides into the Crystal Tower that he could have fallen 30 feet from.
That's true. Let me see now. Okay, good. I presented the crime scene diagram. I have here a diagram of the crime scene. The cage appeared in the sky and then fell into the Crystal Tower. The height was apparently 30 feet, or about 9 meters. However, when you look at this diagram, there was one other place during the experiment that was the same height, where he could have fallen a distance of 30 feet. What?
It sounds as though we ought to hear the defense's thoughts. Are you prepared?
Yes, of course.
Now then, indicate it right on this diagram. Where is the other place where the victim could have fallen 30 feet?
Inside the device. It's right here. Uh-oh, did I hit the wrong thing? I did. I did. Well, I guess we get more mistakes. What the heck? Okay, whatever, game. I was like, that's a lot more dialogue than saying it's right here and it says 30 feet. And I'm like, eh? Well, you got new dialogue. What the heck, though? Here? Oh, whatever. It's right here.
That's right where the cage started.
That's true. The cage was sitting on top of the stage. However, the issue here is the height of the stage itself.
What do you mean?
This stage was actually built quite a distance off the ground, as you can barely see from this diagram, clearly. It's about the same height as the hot air balloon was from the second floor of the Crystal Tower. The experiment began, and right when that big cloud of steam covered the cage, the floor of the stage opened up, and if we assume that there was space under there, that would mean it would have been possible to drop the second cage from about the same height. Take that. Now it's finally clear. There really were 2 cages that were dropped that day. But you have no evidence that the stage really had such a feature. That's because the killer bombed the device, but the stage itself is still standing. Please, take a look at this photo showing the crime scene after the explosion.
The wire mesh on the floor of the device that the cage had been sitting on. It's gone.
It was probably blown open by the force of the explosion. We need to examine immediately what's at the bottom of that hole. Enoch Drebber-san. You were the one who actually constructed the device. In other words, the one who prepared the two-cage trick was you. It had nothing to do with Dr. Dirtpour's theory. You built a device to take Mr. Kingslay's life, and then you tried to pin the blame on the doctor. Only one who could have done all that was you, Enoch Drebber-san. That breakdown. I can't. If the defense has finished making his claim... Oh no, it's this part, isn't it? Yep. Then the prosecution would like to raise a deliberate objection. I'm sorry, it's this stupid... Damien took the time to open that bottle for him and then he didn't even drink it, okay? I'm just like, that's frustrating. I would be frustrated. Deliberate? There appears to be a rather large contradiction in your case. And 2 of them at that. Contradiction? The first one is this. Witness did not approach the device before or after the experiment. That was confirmed by all the staff at the exhibition grounds. All might have colluded together?
I heard that there were some officers from the yard keeping watch over the place.
In other words, this man had no opportunity to swap the cages. But we already proved how he could have done it. You mean the trick with the crossbow? But that would have been impossible. The victim who vanished from the stage and the victim found in the Crystal Tower were the same person. There's an official report from the Scientific Investigation Unit proving that. Maybe we should ask them. This is very fishy. And the other contradiction is motive. Why would this witness take the life of the victim? He had no reason. Motive. I hadn't thought about that. Here is the contract that the witness submitted.
A contract?
It's a contract between the victim, Conrad Kingslay, and this witness. The engineer is entitled to 30% of any research assistance funds provided by the government, or any proceeds yielded as a result of the research.
30%? That's quite a generous condition for a contract.
There's one major condition in that contract.
Condition? These rights shall only be valid if both parties entering the contract survive. Oh.
In other words, if either of us had died, the contract would become null and void. The fact that Kingslay died was nothing but disadvantageous to me.
Not only did he lack opportunity to commit the crime, but he also lacked motive. Therefore, it's impossible for this witness to have murdered the victim. Damage!
It appears that the defense's claims have fallen apart. The court orders that the contract be submitted as evidence.
Contract. A contract between Kingslay and Drebber concerning any proceeds yielded by the device. Oh no. It's true. If he had no opportunity to make the swap, then it's impossible for Drebber to have committed the murder. Plus, I don't see any reason for him to have murdered the victim in the first place. There's just one fact in your claim that hasn't been overturned. There were 2 cages. The prosecutor can't deny that. So surely, there must be something else too. Another unmistakable fact in your claim.
it would seem that the defense has no way to rebut this.
This certainly was a surprise. To think that I could end up with the finger of blame pointed at me, when all I did was come to testify about the device. But at least now things have been cleared up. It's impossible for me to have been the killer.
We're not done. You're not sneaking away from us. At first, we thought that there was only one cage, but now we know that there were two. In other words, there's something here we still aren't seeing. In which case, it might be the same with the killer. What? The stage involved in this incident. Every aspect of it was designed and built by this witness. So it's unthinkable to assume that you had nothing to do with this. So, if it was impossible for you to have committed the crime alone, then we must assume that you had help.
Help? You can't mean...
Of course I do. You had an accomplice. An accomplice? If you're so sure of that, then of course, that must mean you're prepared. Prepared to indict not only this witness, but another person as well. And, if you fail to substantiate your indictment, then naturally as the prosecution, I will see that you're assigned a harsh penalty.
What do you say, defense? Are you prepared to make that indictment?
We don't have a choice. I wonder. As of right now, all I have are my hypotheses about the existence of an accomplice and whether this witness is really the killer in the first place. But I have to make a decision. As a defense attorney, am I prepared? Did Drebber really have an accomplice? Indicate accomplice? He didn't have one. Indicate that there was. The defense has an idea as to who the accomplice could be. It's implied that the two cages really were swapped, but the coroner's report says that no such swap occurred. It's contradiction. The contradiction itself is the clue.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
As you've already been warned, if you intend to make another indictment, then this court will accept your resolve and hear the name of the person. Now then, the defense will present its name. What is the name of the person who cooperated with this witness and committed the crime?
Wait, sorry, I was rather curious about what they put in the description for him. Dr. Sith. That person's name is... What's wrong, Japanese boy? Don't tell me you've come this far only to lose your nerve. I think anyone would be nervous in this situation. After all, this name carries incredible significance. This might make me into the enemy of every person in this courtroom. I'm sure you'll be fine, Naruhodō-sama. Susato-san. Enemies always look bigger than they really are, but it's all in your head. Alright then. Now then, defense. Let us hear your answer. The person who cooperated with Enoch Drebber to commit this crime is none other than Dr. Sith.
What did you say? But Dr. Sith!
It's the coroner from the Scientific Investigation Unit, and the one who autopsied the victim. Who could possibly have swapped the two cages? The accident occurred in front of a horde of witnesses, and the crime scene was sealed off. Additionally, the investigation was conducted by the Scientific Investigation Unit and excluded everyone else, including the detectives. That's the only time that it would have been possible for the bodies to be swapped. What was happening at the crime scene during that time? We need to summon Dr. Sith to the stand immediately to hear her testimony.
Unforgivable. You intend to humiliate Scotland Yard?
Juror 6.
I know her very well. She's the best coroner there is. And you'd call her a criminal?
Is there no law or order to speak of inside that head of yours? That case, in regards to the other major issue, prosecution would like to hear your response about that as well. Other?
Major?
Just who do you propose acted as the body double for the victim? Oh, the body double.
If the cage with the victim's body and it really was swapped at the crime scene, then naturally the other cage must have had something else inside.
However, no one who meets the criteria has gone missing recently or turned up dead. In other words, there never was a body double for the victim. Has a point. There were two cages and there must have been someone in the other one as well. I wonder if I can point out who it was. True identity of the body double inside the other cage was indicate the person's name, present evidence, can't do it yet, present evidence. Understood. In that case, the defense will present evidence to indicate the real identity of the body double.
What? Evidence? But shouldn't you first state the name of the body double?
Very well. Present your evidence. The key to the trick was hidden inside the hot air balloon. Then at the very least, the audience should have seen it a distance of 60 feet. The thing that appeared from inside the hot air balloon about 18 meters from the ground was... Alright, I will. The body double inside the second cage was... I don't think we actually have the body, but we do have the head. Not the head. The victim's body double, which was inside the second cage at the time of the incident. The victim himself was inside the cage on the stage, so, naturally, one that fell from the sky into the crystal tower was the double.
Yes, that does make sense within the context of the defense's claims.
The real identity of the body double inside the second cage is... are you okay, Naruhodō?
We're prepared, Naruhodō-sama. All that remains is to shout it out.
Thank you, Susato-san. Real identity of the body double inside the second cage is... though it may be hard to believe, it's this! Wait, when did they bring this thing in? Wait, when did they bring it in? Has that been there the whole time? Just to, like, teleport that in. Uh-oh. Yep, here he goes. Open your eyes and look at me, Japanese boy. Answer me this. Just, what is this? Well, brace yourself, Naruhodō Ryūnosuke. Time to show out that Japanese fighting spirit. It's, as you can see, it's a wax figure. A figure of the serial killer who was executed 10 years ago. The professor. Already indicated a member of the scientific investigation unit as an accomplice. Now you're trying to say that a wax figure was enough to act as a body double. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Regardless, why this, of all things? Its figure is nothing like the victims. In fact, they're basically polar opposites. Tell me why. Very angry. The reason is something Enoch Drebberson can't answer for us. What? A few days before Dr. Dirtpour conducted that experiment, Drebberson kidnapped that wax figure.
What? Kidnapped?
And 2 days after that huge accident occurred, Drebberson returned the wax figure to Madame Roussan. 2 days after the incident.
Enoch Drebber? Is this true?
As for the reason Drebberson stole this wax figure, now have a clear answer. It was to use as a body double to put in the second cage. Did you hear that, jurors? The defense's shocking claim. In order to trick a poor scientist, he built that massive device. With the greatest coroner of our time as an accomplice, performed the magic trick before a huge crowd. Not only that, but the key to the trick was this wax figure, which looks nothing like the victim. Now I ask you, jurors, is this claim solid enough to warrant your trust? Oh, please, wait! Sure, when you say it like that, it might sound hard to believe, but...
Your Honor. May I say something?
What is it, head juror?
We seem to have finally just reached a unanimous decision.
Very well, then let us hear it. Jurors, state your decisions for the court.
Yuzai.
Yuzai.
Yuzai. Yuzai.
Yuzai.
Yuzai.
Well, we finally get a verdict from the jurors, and no one is surprised they vote guilty.
It appears that the jurors are in agreement.
I had a feeling it'd turn out like this. I'm sure once we overcome this trial, we'll have uncovered a new fact. I truly believe that. Yeah, that's why we have to do anything we can to convince them.
We'll now begin the final appeal. Are you prepared, head juror?
Yes.
Very well. Now then, 6 jurors, the court orders you to state your reasons and basis for deciding that the defendant is guilty, which we will look into in the next video, because la-di-da, we are out of time now, so I will see you all then. Court is adjourned.